Let's bring in Ken Dilanian, who's NBC News justice and intelligence correspondent. And the reason it's very important for us to go to Ken right now is because he was in the courthouse. He was in the overflow room and was able to watch this with his own eyes. Ken, what should we understand about what just happened?
Hey, Rachel, you know, I was also in the overflow room down in Miami during that arraignment, and I got to say, this was a much more intense experience all the way around. The magistrate down in Miami was very chatty, and it just was it had a different feeling, and Trump never said a word during that hearing. This was much different. This magistrate was extremely stern and you know, all business, and she asked Mr. Trump a series of standard questions that you would ask a defendant, including to state his name and his age, and she played it by the book like any other first appearance and an arraignment, including issuing a series of conditions for his release, one being that he not commit any crimes, and another being that he show up as directed, and there'll be an appearance bond. So, I mean, I know you guys know play the blow-by-blow because we've been sending notes out. That's the color, really, that it was just very intense, very businesslike. The courtroom was packed to capacity, and there was not a smiling face in the house. It was a very it was a stern kind of a situation. I did observe that Jack Smith, the special counsel, who's sitting in the first row behind his team, as Mr. Trump walked in, I noticed that Jack Smith did not look in his direction. And I'm not sure if that's because down in Miami, a lot of people noticed that he seemed to be staring at Trump at times. So he seemed to have made a point not to look. As Mr. Trump walked in, he probably was the only person in the courtroom not looking at Mr. Trump at that time. He did look at him later. And then, of course, the other thing that really emerged is the stark, this is not surprising at all, right? The stark disparity between the sides on timing. The government wants to get this case to trial. The government is vowing a speedy trial. And Trump's lawyer, John Lauro, immediately started pushing back against that as they were discussing scheduling at the end, saying, look, we need to know what the discovery is here. We need to know the scope of the documents the government is going to turn over. And we want to waive the Speedy Trial Act, which, you know, technically requires a trial within 100 days, though, of course, that rarely happens. Even sort of the date of the next hearing, when they were offering 3 dates, Mr. Trump's lawyers picked the furthest one out, and the special counsel wanted the most, the nearest one. And the judge went with August 28th, this next hearing in the case, which was the furthest one out that was offered, because she has to respect the scheduling of defense counsel. But that just underscores what we're going to be facing in this case while Donald Trump is dealing with 3 separate criminal trials unfolding. There's going to be scheduling issues, and he's going to want to delay in all of them, and the prosecutors are going to want to push forward, guys.
Ken, let me just ask you about a moment that we have, that we just recounted to our viewers as we got it from you and the reporting team there who's able to observe it live. And what we've got is essentially a live blog format from you guys as things are happening with timestamps on them as they happen. And at 4:26, the judge is described as saying, you've heard your conditions of release, speaking to Mr. Trump. It's important you comply with your conditions of release. You may be held pending trial in this case. If you violate the conditions of release, the judge says the most important condition of release is that you not commit a crime while you are released. And then the very next thing that we've got from you guys, the next report we have of her talking to him is, it is a crime to influence a juror. Can you just tell us about that moment, just sort of fill in some of those blanks and talk to us about that sequence of admonishments from the judge?
You know, again, my understanding is this is all standard pro forma language in a criminal arraignment, that every defendant gets these instructions, but it seems to have special meaning when we're talking about former President Trump, who has shown no compunction about using his megaphone to trash prosecutors, to go after judges, and to say mean things and about potential witnesses in cases. And so that line really resonated. You know, there was no admonishment about anything that he would say about the prosecution team or the judge, which I thought was interesting. No order along those lines. No commentary whatsoever. But that's something that could happen if at some point Trump, began attacking the judge or the prosecutors in such a manner that, the special counsel's office decided to make a motion and try to do something about it. Obviously, it's a delicate situation when you have somebody running for president. The courts and the government are going to bend over backwards to try to respect their right under the First Amendment to speak and to use political speech. But there's a line between speech and threats and intimidation, and it'll be interesting to see whether we are going to explore in this case or in the other cases where exactly that line rests.
Ken, thank you. Let me just ask you one last question before you go. And I know that you've been inside until just moments ago when you ran out to get to this camera for us, for which we're grateful. But from what you've seen today, both when you arrived and since you've come out, and what you can see just ambiently where you are, is there how would you describe the presence of onlookers and protesters at the courthouse? Is it having any significant impact, or is everybody sort of dwarfed by the security presence and the media presence?
So I have to say, the presence of onlookers, remember, the public has grown since I was inside the courthouse. For most of the day, the media has dominated. And this is the biggest collection of media, satellite trucks, tents that I've seen ever at this federal courthouse. I'm told by, veterans, probably not since the Monica Lewinsky, Bill Clinton scandal have we seen anything like this at this courthouse where a special counsel was investigating the then president. So the media presence was dominant. There haven't been that many protesters. There's a usual collection of eccentric figures in costumes. It's different from Miami in that respect. There were more pro-Trump protesters and Trump supporters running around that Miami area, around that courthouse. Not as much here, but definitely has grown in the last few hours, I would say.
Ken Dilanian, thank you so much, and keep us apprised. I know that the courthouse proceedings are over, but things have a way of evolving on stories like this over the course of the day. We really appreciate it, Ken. Thank you.